Welcome to the VC3 News Update. I am Sinead Hackshaw with the top local news stories for today. Before the start of the EU CELAC summit in Brussels today, St. Vincent and the Grenadines and Mexico conducted a bilateral meeting. The summit between the EU and the CELAC is the first in 8 years. Along with the Foreign Affairs Secretary of Mexico, Her Excellency Alicia Bárcena, and other representatives from SVG and Mexico, Prime Minister González attended the conference. The summit covered a number of CELAC-related topics, including a committee to create a permanent secretariat and an interaction with the United States and other parts of the world by the end of 2023. Dr. González and Her Excellency Bárcena both pledged to improve ties between Mexico and SVG. Kesal Peters, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, Camila González, the Finance Minister, and a few of this country's ambassadors, including Dr. Douglas Slater and Mr. Ellsworth John, were also present at the meeting. Ms. Diane Prince, a special envoy to the EU, and Mrs. Angie Williams-Jackson, a permanent secretary in the Prime Minister's office, were also present. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister of this country is not just representing the views and concerns of SVG, but of all Latin America and Caribbean countries. This is according to the recently appointed Assistant General Manager of Administration and Public Relations for the National Broadcasting Corporation, Damian McTeer.
And that, in a nutshell, gives you a small glimpse into the responsibility of Prime Minister Dr. Rob González here at this CELAC summit, because he's not just representing St. Vincent and the Grenadines, but he's representing the interests of all of these different member states, especially those from Latin America and the Caribbean, with varying views, and he has to find a way to balance the interests of those, and his hard-working diplomatic team members are here assisting. We have Dr. Douglas Slater, who is an ambassador and the head of CELAC. He is here. We also have Ambassador Prince. He is also Ambassador John. Ambassador John is here. Ellsworth John. He's here as well. He's here as well, and other members of the diplomatic team. And it's really, this is why I began by saying it's really hectic, because there are many issues to iron out. There are many interests to be balanced in coming up with a general consensus.
Mr. McTeer went on to say that the President of Cuba gave commendations to Dr. González for his handling of the CELAC presidency.
In similar fashion, we also had the Cuban president giving commendations to Dr. González's handling so far of the presidency of CELAC. And of course, he reiterated the expectations, at least his expectations, as to what CELAC should achieve at this very important summit in Brussels. Very important summit, of course, marrying ideas, marrying expectations, marrying interests, and balancing interest between the two different hemispheres.
The EU CELAC summit is focusing on several issues that are affecting small island developing states in the Caribbean and also Latin America.
Some of the core issues, four of them include the call for, the advancement of the call for reparatory justice, that is one, high on the agenda, funding for climate change, damage and loss mitigation and adaptation, that is also very high on the agenda. We also have high on the CELAC agenda the need to strengthen multilateralism, and also the need to strengthen the global financing regime, access to finances, especially access to finances for states like our small island developing states. And these are issues that some CELAC member states, I know, they're unrelenting.
Ursula von der Leyen, President of the European Commission, stated at a business event that Latin America, the Caribbean and Europe needed one another more than ever, as more than 50 leaders from the three areas convened in Brussels for the two-day EU CELAC summit. In news from the police, The Traffic Division of the Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force is looking into the circumstances surrounding the death of Ronald Dishong, a 21-year-old Gibson Corner resident. Dishong was discovered on the side of the road near Gibson Corner on Saturday, July 8 at around 4:30 a.m. with what looked to be injuries. He was then sent to the Milton Kate Memorial Hospital for treatment, where he eventually passed away. Anyone with information that will aid in the investigation is urged to call 911 or 999 or get in touch with the traffic branch at 784-457-4882, 4883 or 4884. All phone calls will be handled privately. Still in our local news stories. After serving this country for 2 years, Ambassador Peter Shalilan wished St. Vincent and the Grenadines goodbye on July 12. Speaking before his departure, Ambassador Lan said he had a nice time reflecting on his 2 years spent in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The ambassador claims that throughout the years, the Taiwanese government has significantly helped SVG in a number of ways. He attended the inauguration ceremony for the building to house Parliament temporarily before leaving, and a formal goodbye event was also held in his honor. Additionally, Ambassador Lan used this chance to convey his profound thanks to the people and government of SVG. He will be replaced by Ambassador Fiona Fenn. And finally, in our local news stories, the Ministry of Tourism, Civil Aviation, Sustainable Development and Culture's Department of Culture will hold a 3-day workshop at the Peace Memorial Hall from Thursday, July 20 to Saturday, July 22. The workshop's coordinator and dance development officer, Ms. Juanita Phillips, explained that its goals are to further encourage dance development in SVG and to give dancers a chance to participate in its numerous growth opportunities. Additionally, she emphasized the important role of dance in the development training plays in the growth and development of dancers, as well as the overall development of the art form, including the development of skills, artistic growth, professional readiness, emotional and physical well-being, personal development, self-confidence, flexibility, cultural exploration and preservation, and most importantly, collaboration and teamwork among dancers. Everyone who enjoys dancing is invited. Persons are advised to get in touch with the Department of Culture by telephone number 451-2180 or going to its Facebook page. Those are our local news stories. Continue watching on Channel 114 for regional and international news, to be followed by the VC3 Sports Update with Chilison Anton.